let's just say your competition is December 20th. Okay? Your blood dope, you take out about 1 liter or so of your own blood, you freeze it, okay? And during that time, the next several months, you continue to train and adapt, and you gain a little bit more blood volume. And about a week prior to that competition, you take that blood that you freeze your own and you reinfuse it back into your system, okay? To enhance more blood volume, right? So that's 2 ways to do it. The other 2 ways are sleep in an oxygen chamber, okay? Or you can train at high altitude. Everybody still with me here? Okay, 4 ways to do the exact same thing. 2 are considered cheating and 2 are considered legal. Okay, now you guys can figure that out. Let me know. Okay. Dollar, bills. All right, so recovery, there's different types of definitions, but some physiological repair state to restore from a fatigue state to a less fatigue state, or establishment to a new higher ability based from previous performance. So basically, you're achieving a higher or slightly higher baseline or a new baseline level than what you previously went into. Okay? So it's essentially a growth and repair and adaptation process over time. And there's differences between adaptation and optimization. Okay? They're not the same thing. It's a little bit different conversation, but in terms of recovery, we're talking about more of adaptation versus true like optimization. All right, feel free to ask questions. This is gonna be on the quiz here, about 30 seconds, so you need to memorize that. Now, yeah, I promise this is not a different language, okay? Like this is actually like real stuff. But when it comes to dietary support supplements, they're basically divided into 3 categories. So supplements that use a nutritional strategy to enhance recovery. Those that use EIMD, which is exercise-induced muscle damage. Okay? Muscle soreness and muscle damage, although they're used interchangeably in terms of terms, they're not the same thing. Okay? So exercise-induced muscle damage, or taking supplements that provide some type of antioxidant or anti-inflammatory effect. Okay? So again, they fall into 3 different types of categories. Now I show this because even though this image is more for unaccustomed ECCs for eccentric exercise. Okay? Even though this image is mainly for eccentric exercise, how it works in terms of exercise-induced muscle damage and recovery is pretty much the same mechanism and same process of events that go through, okay? In terms of recovery and soreness. So let's just say you do some type of unaccustomed exercise, you experience some type of muscle damage. There's a series of immunological events and pro-inflammatory responses that happen in the body, okay? So, and then it moves into anti-inflammatory responses. So, in other words, what you guys talk about, what we talk about is like recovery or sport nutrition recovery happens typically more at the end of this process. The point is that you want to try and reduce inflammation as much as possible and enhance the antioxidant effect as much as possible. Now that's not to say that, well, God, I just want to work out so I get sore. Soreness is a very poor indicator of the overall success of the training session. It just means that you got sore. Okay? Either maybe you were on vacation for 2 weeks and you did the exact same workout, you got a little bit sore. You did something entirely new, you got sore. Part of it is adaptation. Okay? So it means that this process happens regardless of the type of activity that you do, but nonetheless, this process happens regardless if you get sore or not. Okay? So again, soreness is it's common, but it's not the most important part of the training session, and it's not something that's going to give you a higher quality indicator of the quality of training session that you actually had. Okay? So it's really important to talk about because what you understand here is that when you talk about muscle repair and regeneration process, okay, typically not max soreness, but peak soreness is typically 24 to 48 hours post-training. There's acute muscle soreness, obviously there's post. Then there's like extreme muscle damage. You've ever heard about rhabdomyolysis before? A lot of military recruits get that because of super severity and very, very rigorous training responses. Okay. And believe it or not, there's been a lot of lawsuits over the last number of years from trainers putting their clients through very rigorous workouts, and you actually end up in the hospital for that. There's been a lot of lawsuits from unqualified trainers. So